And it says we're live.
Yeah, lies.
It lies. I'm distinctly a zombie today.
Right. You're a wired zombie if you're a zombie.
I didn't sleep last night.
All right. So if you would like to keep the air conditioning running, please keep the air conditioning running.
It's
Donate
only
here.
107 today.
No kidding. I've spent the last hours of an hour install replacing the air conditioner in our bedroom window.
Trust me, we know that.
Woo! That's why I was dressed nicely, and then I had to change clothes.
Yeah.
If you like coffee, and even in August we like coffee, where I do. I don't know about the rest of you heathens. Talk to King Harv, and when you do, let him know you heard about it here, so he'll continue to love us a long time and send us coffee.
And in about a week, the anthology sponsored by King Harves is going to be coming out. I was working on some illustrations for that today.
Yeah.
So
I'm curious as to what Dan's comments on it were.
Dave's
comments.
Yeah, Dave really enjoyed it. He actually asked me if he could get names and email addresses so he could send a note to all the authors.
Oh,
He thought very highly of all the stories, and he wrote me a nice little introduction for the book. And we've had a lot of fun with this. There'll be a second one, but this particular volume, I get to do the story edits and selections, and it's all over the map, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
So,
well, Nancy, up where you are, it's probably still cold too.
I've had 2 cups today. What are you talking about? If you like Smart Ice t-shirts, this is not one of them, by the way. I got this. I think Rita got this from me 12 years ago. tinyurl.com Among the Leaves tees, Smart Ice t-shirts. Yes, Rita bought this for me because apparently she thought it fit.
Well, that goes back to the Lord of the Rings crap.
Yep.
yeah, that's exactly what that is. That's
Yeah.
Elven script or Dwarven script or
whatever.
I don't know what it
Elven.
was.
So it says, if you can read this, I found your ring.
Yeah, I can't actually read it, but
Today's high is 81. We got you by 27 degrees there, Nancy.
Yeah. Speaking of the coffee anthology, my little brother Chris got into this one too.
All right.
He is. We may get him out of his cave sometime in 2027 because he freaked out a bit.
Yeah. So, Padre, the size of the cups is always irrelevant.
Chris has a very strong writing voice. And I like it. I mean, I've accepted 2 of his stories at this point because, and the thing is that he's got that authorial voice.
Yeah.
But the 2 stories are very different from one another, which is fantastic. So I'm looking forward to seeing what else he does.
Oh, he's still writing.
Excellent.
He thought the first one was we were feeling sorry for him.
No.
And then the second one, he's like, "Oh my God, I can write." I said, "Yes." He said, "I'll be back in a couple of months."
Does he listen to this?
Sometimes,
yeah.
Chris, dude, I don't even accept people that I get to see on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
If their story's not good enough, it's not getting in.
Yes, Richard, I did pass that archaeology to Jonna.
Archaeology find.
And she said it was very cool. Richard found a link to some 3,000-year-old dyed fabric that was found in Israel.
That's right up Jonna's alley.
Cool.
Yeah. And it was odd because one fabric was not dyed and the other one was.
Not unusual.
Why is that odd?
Just
dyeing is
not unusual.
Yeah, no, it's not. Dyeing is a fairly labor and material intensive thing. And depending on the fabric, you might not need dye. You want the fabric to be a natural color.
Hey, we have a Nick.
Hey, Nick.
Nick's on here.
He survived the weekend with us.
He did. He survived.
Brennan, that truly sucks. If I didn't have coffee, I couldn't function.
Ooh, I have dialed back from. I have one of Kent Rollins' mug I bought from him, and it's almost a horse trough.
Yeah.
And I measure my consumption these days in mugs a day instead of pots. So I managed to dial back from pots to mugs.
I'm still on pots.
I've been doing iced coffee because it's hot, and
What?
I go through about 32 ounces in the
Ice
morning.
and coffee do not. Those
Ice-
two words do not go
Iced
together.
coffee
I
is
am
a
a woman of a certain age, and it is hot out there.
iced coffee.
Yes, dear.
Iced coffee is an abomination unto noggin.
Yes.
But it's cold, and I don't care. Y'all drink sweet tea. I can't do that stuff.
Well, you're not Southern. That's part
Not
of
I
it.
yet.
am not.
Not yet. We'll get there.
Oh, yeah. That's the other one. The royal purple dye made from rotting shellfish.
Which is not actually purple, but it's more like maroon.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's glorious.
Yeah.
it's a deep reddish purple.
Apparently, the ladies agree on the iced coffee thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I have noted that the iced coffee thing tends to be more of a feminine than masculine thing. It's like my dad loved coffee but couldn't stand coffee flavored anything.
Yeah.
And
I don't know that. Those
That's
little
what Diet Pepsi was for.
those little Starbucks sells the jarred things of milk-based caffeine delivery system that comes in cold, and it's not bad if you have to wake up. It's not
yeah,
bad.
I've never tried those. Those tend to be a lot sweeter than I like. I put cream in, but I don't necessarily put sweetener in my coffee.
I've discovered a new sweetener I like. Now I can't remember what it is.
Yeah.
Hang on, now I gotta look. Now I gotta look.
I mean, I will sometimes use flavored syrups in the iced coffee. And Dorothy's Coffee Shop introduced me to a new combo, blackberry mocha iced coffee. So that was good.
Yeah.
Blackberry pairs well with coffee berry.
Whole Earth. It's a monk fruit stevia combination. It's really good.
Mess halls. Iced tea with no ice, no lemon, and lukewarm with sugar.
Ooh, yeah, that's no.
Hey, depending on where you were. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what you
I know.
got.
If that's all you got, you get used to it. I know.
At least the Navy, we had bug juice
Mhm.
until you ran out of the juice, and then it was desalinated water.
I'm laughing because the secure facility that my son's going to school in, they assigned him to do the coffee. He does not drink coffee.
Not yet, he doesn't.
Well, how they're asking him to make coffee and expecting to be able to have something drinkable, that's the question.
He'll be taught.
Oh, yeah.
He's gonna learn.
He's going to learn it real quick. First time a chief gets a cup and goes, what the hell is this shit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Yeah, Rick, that was the other thing. The citric acid bug juice was a great cleaner. We actually used to use that on the airplanes.
There was one of my officers when I was at midnight shifts actually figured out how I like coffee. I have a pretty specific way I like coffee brewed fresh. And I always knew it was going to be a good day when he was in control room, because first thing he did was head back and brew a decent pot of coffee.
Yeah. See, Dan, that's the advantage of being Army. You know, if you're in the Navy, if you take the last cup, regardless of what your rank is, you make the next pot. And I have seen a 2-star admiral making coffee before.
Now, if it's coming out of the silver bullet, the cooks, you don't touch the cook silver bullet.
No.
The cooks will refill the coffee if it's coming out of silver bullet. If it's the drip thing, whoever takes the last cup brews another one.
Yeah.
That was even in the Army sheriff's office. If you
Yeah.
take the last pot of coffee, brew another one.
Yeah.
Start another one going.
I think that's just good manners. I mean, in general.
Yeah, the Air Force just calls over the butler.
Yep. The first time a Chief Warrant Officer 4 chews your butt because there's no coffee when you stagger over the coffee maker, you'll learn to make a replacement pot with quickness.
Brennan, only place that's really a tradition is the Navy.
What's that?
Whoever takes the last cup makes another pot.
I don't know if it's tradition, but it was the rules everywhere else.
Well, it's only a tradition in the Navy.
I think it's a courtesy elsewhere.
Yeah.
I like most courtesies, one
Yeah.
that tends not to get observed as often as it should.
Yeah,
it.
Nick. That was a good one in the wire.
The
Where the
only,
mayor has to make coffee.
the only reason the sheriff didn't have to make coffee was he hated it, never drank any.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen the chief deputy more than once. Chief deputy and I used to race each other to drain the pot.
Yeah.
I've seen him more, Derek. I've seen him
Yeah.
more than once making, putting fresh cup.
At least he made decent coffee, unlike certain other individuals
Oh, no
in that
kidding.
office.
No kidding.
I do have one rant though.
Uh-oh.
Incoming.
This whole thing with the friggin' goshawk,
What?
The
the
what?
T-45 airplane.
Oh,
Once again, the Navy got screwed over by the Air Force because of the aircraft selection and standardization across services.
Okay.
The Air Force got the T-7 Red Hawk, which is fine. It's the same thing the Brits used.
Okay.
The Air Force does not fly over water. They don't land it on the carrier. They don't beat the shit out of the airplane.
Oh, now I understand. So they made the Navy get the same thing Air Force is flying.
Basically, yes. And the Navy is having engine problems,
No.
Yeah.
Salty air?
among other things. The engines, well, Rick, they're actually lasting, quote unquote, almost 50% of the rated time. 1,700 hours versus 4,000.
goodness.
Yeah.
That is a huge difference.
Yes. And if you're a student naval aviator, the last thing you want to be worrying about when you're trying to learn how to fly
Is your bird falling apart underneath
is your
you?
bird quitting, especially around the boat.
I'm guessing it's a single engine bird. So
Yes.
when the engine goes out, it's flap your arms or swim.
Most of those things have the glide profile of a
A
thrown
brick.
brick.
Not as bad as the F4. F4 is the only airplane we ever bought that had a negative glide ratio.
Hey, rock glide ratio
Oh,
of crowbar.
It was 1 to 2, 1 foot forward, 2 feet down.
Ugh, yeah.
That's not a glide ratio. That's a semi-controlled fall.
Well, pretty much. But the problem is they're chunking blades,
Oh. Oh.
and corrosion, saltwater corrosion, is always an issue with the Navy.
Hmm.
Allison, bless their hearts, built an engine that was damn near perfect for saltwater
Okay.
because those blades were so thick. And it was a turboprop. So you could walnut shell the hell out of it. Literally pour walnut shells down the intake and let the engine chew them up. And that was how we cleaned the corrosion off the blades. But otherwise, you do tend to get an unscheduled rapid disassembly. Brennan Corroseal does not work for the Navy. Trust me, we've tried that 20 years ago. And you cannot do an airplane in red lead, not that people haven't tried. But the Brits have also been having problems. And so what you're ending up with is a month, 2 month gaps in training. So these kids either, the Navy planes need extra tie down points, and they also need a heavier landing gear and a heavier tail hook. The last direct comparison we had was back in the F4 days, and the Navy F4 was 942 pounds heavier than the Air Force version. No, Raptor, that's not the correct way to do ejection seat and water survival training is to do it for real.
It is, however, effective.
It is effective, yes. That training does work.
First time you have to do it, you'll never forget how to do it again.
Yeah. You'll also be a little bit shorter.
It ensures.
That Mark 37 rocket firing out your ass. So what happens is the aviators get behind the power curve. Well, that grows exponentially. So what you end up doing is you now start stacking aviators up, trying to get through training. Well, that impacts your accession program. So now you've got people that are supposed to be accessing to aviation that can't because there are no slots. So you get people that either A, turn around and go home, or B, go somewhere else. And when they finally kickstart the program again, then you end up with people having to go back and repeat 2 or 3 flights to get caught up with the skill set they're supposed to have. It's frustrating, to put it mildly. And it's not the first time it's happened, and it won't be the last.
And I seem to recall a year or two ago you had a very similar rant.
And it's even better, quote unquote, with the Zumwalt program called Zeus. Because the Army is supposed to be getting the rounds for the new gun going on the Zumwalt.
Why is your Army getting them?
It's a 155.
Okay.
Apparently the Army's supposed to be the procurement experts. So the Army's going to go buy shit that the Navy can't use, that won't meet the range specifications the Navy needs. Because the Air Force, compared to the Navy, is close in support. They ought to just say, screw it, go back, put 5-inch 54s on, take the rail guns out, put 5-inch 54s on, and be done. They built 3 of them, James. And the Zumwalt was a classic case of overreach by the Navy. I will be the first to admit that, because we saw it from the inside. They kept cramming technology into the Zumwalt because it was going to, quote, quote, make it better. This all came out under Vern Clark, along with little crappy ships. Exactly, Rick. Second only to the entire LCS concept, which is fucked up as a wooden watch. Yeah. Little crappy ships. High speed vessels. They can do 40 knots in shallow water.
Oh, look, I can walk home.
However,
Because it's shallow water.
the mission modules never proved out for the ships, A. B, the technology for the drives never worked properly. C, the hydrophiliac patrol boats, yeah. Now that they've decided they need to put them out with a battle group, they don't have enough gas. So now the battle group has to tow a tanker around with them. Yeah. Oh, yeah, Tom. Spec Ops version of the Osprey got the EW antennas that failed acceptance. Yep. Actually, Rick, submarine procurement's down. Navy took an $8 billion hit this year in the procurement cycle, which is going to cost them a sub. So, yeah,
I should have gone Coast Guard. I should have done 4 years in the Coast Guard and been a happy young man.
Keith, if you make that an 11-meter rib, yeah, they're fine. They love that shit. Yeah, they're building more. They built a lot of LA classes, but we need a better submarine.
In other news,
Yes.
hopefully I'll be able to get some stuff taken care of and grow the mustache back, because that looks weird.
Yeah.
That looks really weird.
I did wonder about the lack of stash, but I figured maybe it was just hot because.
Nope. And watch myself, and this looks weird.
Yeah.
Also, you look about 12.
I was being nice and not saying that, Cedar. I got through all day Tuesday without saying that.
Fucking weird. Had a mustache for the entire time I've known Rita. The beard came and went, but the mustache has always been there, and this is weird.
Yeah, Kelly. Welcome, Kelly. Good to see you. Parenthetically speaking.
Why is Nancy in a skiff?
That's where she works now. and has for a couple of years.
Okay. Okay. So, yeah, I'll get some. This is 12-year-old nerd.
Uh, come on, Cameron, take his lunch money.
Ah,
Oh me.
It does. It's I'm looking at the kid on there. I used to.
the kid you used to be.
Yeah.
Looks really
Oh,
weird.
that would be that's how much fun, Bill. High school classmate went coasting. His duty station was Austin, Texas, on the Colorado River.
Yeah. Oscar in the Colorado.
Well, we had two poor coasties that were stationed in Tok, Alaska, which is 700 miles from any significant body of water.
There was a Coast Guard little Boston whaler on Greenbelt Lake in Clarendon, Texas,
Yeah.
which is in the middle of the friggin' panhandle.
Yep, because that's one of their jobs is
Mhm.
safety, and they have good duty stations like that, and then they have places like
I'm not.
Kodiak.
I'm not sure that Clarendon, Texas, counts as a good duty station.
If you're from Texas and
Oh.
you like to hunt and fish,
Oh, point. Good point.
I mean, they could have been stationed on the Columbia Bar, which is a rescue a day on the average.
Oof.
Yeah, that is some of the roughest water in the world. That if you want to see, some of these people put up these videos about, I think it's Haulover Inlet down in Florida. If you want to see what bad water looks like on a daily basis, the Columbia Bar up off of Oregon, that place kills people
Mhm.
on a routine basis.
There's one in Florida that there's always videos of.
That's all over.
Is it?
Yeah.
And there's always videos, and I'll hear Rita going, "Don't do it! Don't do it!
Yeah,
Glub, I'm a sub."
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Well, I would suspect that the Columbia Bar is a little too dangerous to be out there making videos of it.
yeah. Well, that base takes special training just to be a crewman on the ship, and even more training to be able to actually con the ship. And then you get up in Alaska and the rescues from the crab fishermen and everybody else.
Why is Liz going to the emergency room again?
I don't know. Liz?
She already stuck herself once today,
Yeah.
and then told me she didn't. Hey, Jay Kenton Pierce, hola, how are you doing there, Scooter?
Hey, Pierce.
Yeah. Yeah, Rick. Astoria is known as the graveyard of the Pacific. Jesus. Are you done now?
That one snuck up on me.
Yeah,
Oh,
thank-
dear.
I think I reset Cedar's computer.
No, the case is falling apart. I just realized that. It's been a couple of years.
Yeah.
It gets beaten around in my bag. It's better the case than the the
Yeah, point.
iPad.
In the Cheers fashion. Pierce. Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
Yes. Astoria is a nice little town. We had a facility up near there, so I got to visit once. Bubble wrap Liz, yes.
I think that offer's been made more than once.
Yeah.
so
Talking about writing though, that's a good point.
are we going writing?
Dahlgren is the definition of USN over 240 years of tradition
Unhindered by progress.
Yeah. Well, when the offices at Dahlgren, Virginia have 3-foot thick walls and 6-inch thick roofs, that should tell you something.
Huh.
Either it's been there a really long time or it's reinforced against something.
Explosives.
Uh,
Young E4s with explosives.
it's been an explosives base since day one.
Mm-hmm.
Dahlgren Weapons Station literally dates back to the early days of the Navy.
Did Liz ever answer why the hell she's going back to
No.
the ER?
No.
Yeah. Yeah, Cape Disappointment. We have a facility somewhere else. Had one somewhere else down there, Brennan. So, talking about writing, one of the things you got to do if you get stuck on something is you've got to have options. As some people can just push through and keep on writing. Other people have to have something else to go to.
Mm-hmm.
That's for me. That's the way I do it. I have 2 or 3 things going simultaneously.
Yeah. When I sat down and interviewed Christopher Stashef years ago, not
Yeah.
too long before he passed, he told me that he usually had 4 or 5 things that he could rotate to, and it's a technique he called Voltaire's desks.
Yeah.
Because he told me that Voltaire would literally have different desks,
Yeah.
and when he got stuck on something, he'd get up and move to a different desk. Although that technique by itself, just getting up and moving,
Yeah.
going away from it for a while and then coming back to will sometimes jog me loose a little bit.
Yeah. RK says, going to try the Hemingway method. Write drunk, edit sober. That's another way to do it.
That sounds painful.
Yeah. Never a cleaner house than when a writer has a deadline.
No kidding.
That's a good point.
All sorts of
Procrastination for the
all
win.
sorts of honeydews get done when I'm on a deadline.
Sanford would come home from work and sniff and go, "Are you stuck on the story? Because I'd be baking."
Yeah. Chronic lateral epicondylitis. Not a clue, Dan.
Yeah, she's got issues with her feet and legs.
Yeah.
So it sounds like one of them kicked up.
Dan says chronic lateral epicondylitis, which I don't know what is. Sounds like probably need a voice to text app.
Oh. Yeah.
Well,
It's tennis elbow.
Oh, okay.
Voice to text app.
Dragon Works is one of them.
Dragon Naturally Speaking.
Yeah, Dragon Naturally Speaking.
It has gotten much better over the years. It does not work if you're doing pre-recorded things that have background noise.
Yeah.
I was recording myself dictating on my commute back in Ohio, and Dragon made word salad out of the transcription from those.
I can't figure out what Martin uses to get his to work.
Martin, I think, is using a really high-end setup that's very directional. So he's got it where it's only picking up his voice. It's right next to his face. And
Because
then,
he's doing it while he's driving.
right. And Kevin Anderson does the dictation and then pays someone. And I think Martin does this too sometimes. And it's like a penny a word.
Yeah.
You can get services that'll take your recording and just do a transcription on them. And my mom was having some internet issues. The original plan was that she was going to do that for some of my really noisy stuff, and that didn't happen. But there's different alternatives for doing it, but not everyone can do it. And the other thing with Dragon is that some versions of Dragon you have to speak your punctuation. Yeah. Which gets very distracting.
Yes.
I gave up a Dragon when I was trying to dictate something when I was tired and stressed. And what I got was not what I said.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because apparently
and you have a little bit of an accent.
Doesn't do well. When my accent kicks up, it really doesn't. It doesn't. Apparently, it just goes stupid.
Well, and you can also help other people. You can help or be to reach somebody. Yeah, Kelly, you spent too many years doing literal logical stuff. So it's going to be hard for you to change worlds after all this time. It's not impossible. Wave a rubber chicken. That could also work.
I mean, if everything else has been tried, why not?
Why not?
Liz is having extreme thigh pain going to find out why. Good.
Yeah, go get checked out.
Yeah, Tiffany, I tried Dragon, and it does not like my southern accent.
Scottish accents, I've noticed any sort of a Scottish accent or a Cajun accent.
Yeah.
Cajun accent just blows voice to text out of the water.
Yeah. Yeah, it does not work worth a shit.
Whew.
Well, Kelly, look on the bright side. Yeah, well, I was going to say most of the statute of limitations has run out, but maybe not. But that would be worth it because you do have a hell of a history down there.
You're going to say that in public? Wow. Many things came out of this weekend. Damn. We are probably going to be
Hip deep in alligators.
up to our gonads and gators. And I had a good idea, so I just tripled my workload. 2025 is going to be interesting. It really is.
In all senses of that word.
Right down to both Chinese definitions. I had a good idea, and it's a great idea.
The good idea fairy has visited.
Oh joy!
And this is not the good idea Tiffany's talking about.
Yeah.
This is a different good idea. I've been looking at some way to kickstart making some money for the press. And I found I came across a really good idea. Ran it past some folks, took a couple of classes and to verify, and yeah, it's a great idea. I just tripled my workload. It's a good idea. It's a great idea. And much like a whole bunch of other things, somebody moved to the area who just coincidentally has the skill set I need and the contacts. So in January, there's going to be a whole bunch. Well, there's going to be a lot of announcements in the end of August. We will do some of our schedule.
The Rack Press announcements should happen in the end of August.
End of August, we're going to
keep an eye on the Substack.
Yeah, we're going to we're going to make announcements. Some of them we won't make till January, and it's like, damn.
Self-poster size Prince of Cedar's covers.
Well,
that already happens at certain cons. We've had posters of my covers at at least the gaming con that was here locally in Wichita Falls, and I think they took them to some of the other cons as well.
Yeah.
Tiffany says, good, because I'm out of Racketeer anthologies to submit to.
Oh, we have, well, she knows. She knows.
So we're opening two sub imprints of Racketeer Press. Fox Cub Adventure Club will be the kids and boys. And then another one that I'm still working out. I'm looking at Cedar because she threw herself hip deep into that one too.
There are reasons, and they're good ones, and yeah, it's gonna be fun. Of course, I say that as I'm medicated ADHD today.
Yeah. Padre, that's the problem. Ian doesn't want to write right now, so he's doing everything else to keep from writing.
I desperately want to write.
Some people house clean.
Yeah.
Some people bake. Some people start publishing companies.
Yeah. Somebody starts a third imprint. Oh,
Scottish time travel romance.
Oh no. It's a great idea, and all of the wargaming says it'll be just fine.
Yeah.
And but it's not a whole bunch of work.
Yeah.
But it's a lot more work. It's more work on top of
what's already a significant schedule.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I don't want to say how many anthos and novels and children books we're doing in 2025 because that announcement will be the end of August.
Plus, it's a moving number.
aren't
I mean,
ours always
Don't
moving
get
numbers?
me wrong, Chad. We're not talking about moving backwards. There is no retreat. We
No.
only go forwards.
Well, and one of the comments is 50 a year.
no. We
Yet.
don't want to saturate the market. Now, if all y'all would go out and tell two people who would then tell two people who would then tell two people, you might talk us into that 50 a year in like, I don't know, a couple of years.
Couple of decades. And then several of my several of my short stories are going up on the Substack. If you have a subscription, you'll get them a week before everybody else does. Everybody will get to see them. But if you send us money, we're going to let you look at them early.
Mhm. One of the nice features about Substack, and I don't know how Jim is doing with his Substack. I know you're putting stuff on it,
Yeah.
but I don't know if you're still just kind of feeling out what's going on there. Yeah.
I got a few paid people.
Yeah. Well, but that's the thing, which is that it's really easy for people to support your work.
Yeah.
Which I got to say, as a creator, when people are like throwing money at me, is really encouraging.
Yeah. Well, I'm
That's
publishing my short stories.
For the paid subscribers.
Yeah, for the paid subscribers.
Yeah,
Good.
my paid subscribers are getting my novel that I'm working on right now, a chapter at a time,
Yeah.
as a reward. So it's a nice way for people to give us some support and encouragement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And money for life-size posters or book covers.
Brennan, we need an address or contact point for that library you
For Whittier. Yeah.
Yeah.
put here.
I actually have it.
Oh, Jonna has it. So we'll be
Disregard.
working on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Disregard.
Because we also got feedback from Brooke, and they're interested.
From who?
Oh, from the medical center.
Yeah.
Oh, Bamsey?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
We'll talk about that Saturday.
Yeah.
I will happily send books to Bamsey. Hell yes.
Yeah.
And our kind of books are Bamsey's Brooks Army Medical Center down at Fort Sam Houston in San Antonio.
450 beds,
Yeah. 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 And our
pretty
kind
much
of,
full all the time.
right. Our kind of books are pretty
Yeah.
good for that kind
Yeah.
of thing. Short little bites of entertainment.
Well, Differs, your 7-year-old is going to be in tall cotton come 2025 because we've got boy stories coming up.
Oh yeah. It's going to be a lot of fun to see what people come up with for that. I'm not going to out him just yet, but one of these days I'm going to be coming in here with a stack of books because I got a private message saying, "Hey, would you like?" And he lists off these books, and I'm like, "Yes, please," and I will share them with the rest of the troublemakers as research. So I'm going to be getting some antique children's books here shortly.
And Rick was talking about the Papillot and Jerry Todd stories, which is 30s, 40s. Yeah.
Stair
I'm not
step
familiar with those.
dog training. What age range are you looking for? The boys were primarily looking for what, 12 to 14, 12 to 16?
So we're looking for what are called middle grade or juvenile books. And middle grade got differentiated out because when they broke things up into YA but it used to all be lumped under juveniles. So you'll talk about Heinlein's Juvies, where it's intended for grade school kids and that are chapter books, relatively short. Usually you're looking at somewhere between 20 to 60,000 words, and 60,000 is pretty long for that
Thanks,
age
Brennan.
range. And so this is what most of us think of as like the boys' books from some of the science fiction greats, Tom Swift. Encyclopedia Brown is different. We actually were talking about that the other day. Encyclopedia Brown is a common one for us geeks to cite as being a kid's book that we liked. But if you go and you look at it as a grown-up writer, it is a series of short stories, very short stories.
Really?
The common thread is it's Encyclopedia Brown, and he's solving these little mysteries. And then the other thing is at the back of the book, there's some pages that tell you how he did. So if you couldn't figure it out, it actually lays it out and explains it for you, which makes it a great little teaching tool for deductive reasoning.
Yes. Um, what we've been saying, boys, we've been saying we want to write boy stories, adventure stories for boys is what we want to publish.
Right.
I got hit high, low, and middle at LibertyCon by a couple of ladies who informed me that girls like reading those too.
Yes.
It's like
I grew up reading all of those things.
kid stories. It is.
Well, so here's the thing: is we're going to probably continue referring them to as boys' books because there are a lot of girls that will look for boys' books because the alternatives are things like Babysitter's Club
Yeah.
and all of the Pony Club books. Because dear God, did my sister read all of those? And I learned to shy clear of anything with pink on the cover.
Yeah.
Because I knew I wasn't going to enjoy it. So I would actually look for the boys' books, Jim Kelgard stuff, a lot of the Black Stallion books, which have a male protagonist. I read a lot of stuff that was actually boys' books, but that I knew as a kid that if it was a book that looked like it was probably intended for a boy, chances are I was going to like it.
Yeah.
Because I was a tomgirl.
Boxcar Children's another good one.
Rick said that girls like reading boys' books, but not vice versa. That's correct.
Yeah.
So, and then we're going to be doing little kids' books because Rita got a bug.
Oh, we had a couple of bugs bite people this weekend. It was so fun to watch.
So last night, she put something together while we had supper at Cedar's house. So she was putting something together over supper and got home. And she's writing a children's Sproglet book about a family of teddy bears. And the youngest teddy bear wants an Army Andy for Christmas, which is a stuffed green army man. And he's been not a good teddy bear. He's been a naughty teddy bear. So his family's teasing him. And at the end, he gets Army Andy, but she's writing a story for Sproglets. It's like, how do you do this?
Well, it's really a different skill set. I mean, for years, my mom was like, you should write children's books. And because I was doing little cute little dragon pictures and stuff with Inktail. And I'm like, Mom, I can do 100,000 word novel.
Yeah.
Do not ask me to try and do a 100-word children's story that's meant to be fully illustrated. That is a whole other skill set. Some people can do it.
She's throwing together this, it's Teddy Bear's Christmas, and it's a family of teddy bears.
Yeah.
And she's got ideas for Cedar to illustrate it. It's like,
yeah, and I'm sitting over here sketching possums.
She's sketching, and Cedar's sketching possums as we talk because
I'm working towards the possum alphabet. Space possums.
H is for Hallex, something like thumbs.
Yeah. Raptor says, sounds like me begging for an airsoft for Christmas. Little brother in that damn Christmas Story movie, thwarting my every step of the way.
But in the end, the littlest teddy bear gets his Army Andy, but it's a children's Christmas book. And how the hell she spun that?
So, it's really is a skill set to be able to do that. But that's actually another important thing, which is when you're talking about very young readers, the plot is generally very small.
Yeah.
When you get into the juveniles, the middle grades that we're talking about, the plot is a little bigger, but it's not huge.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing with a full-on adult novel. I hate using that word because people assume that it means other things.
Yeah.
Your plots, the sky's the limit on those. But for a kid's plot, you have to make it realistic to their physical limitations, their mental limitations. They don't have the experience to figure out stuff that an adult that had been around for 20, 30, 40 years is going to be able to. So that's where the challenge comes in writing for younger people. The one thing we do not want is watered down language. I don't want anyone going and looking up the Lexile score of their writing for this storybook.
Yeah. Anyway, obviously doesn't understand Racketeer Press.
I want the kids to have to look up a couple of words a book at least.
Hallex.
Yes.
Read it through that. I had no idea what the hell a Hallex was.
See, you learned.
Yeah, so apparently it's a thumb on a possum. It's called a hallux. It's not really a thumb. H is for hallux, something like thumbs.
Yeah.
How the hell do you do?
Yeah, but that's
When you're an English major, those things
Point.
stick.
Point.
But that's the wonderful
Yeah.
thing about especially some of the old science fiction books that were intended for kids is
Well-
those introduced concepts not just of different of more advanced language,
Right.
but also actual like science concepts of
Mhm.
things of
I learned
experiments.
I learned words like sepulcher.
Yeah.
Out of when I was in 6th grade out of Marvel comic books.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't dumb it down, and I had to go get a dictionary occasionally.
Yeah, and that's the best thing because I know I learned a lot of words that way.
Not only that,
I
but
didn't always learn
concepts
how to pronounce them.
Yeah.
and concepts like the concept of tabula rasa,
Mm.
which is a fairly advanced concept, but they were talking about it in a Marvel comic, so I had to go look it up.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And holy God,
Well, it's you can with a concept, especially when you're doing for children, you can explain it on a level that you could not get away with a grown-up's novel.
Yeah.
Because half your readers are going to go, okay, that's dumb, you're talking down to me. But
Yeah.
with kids, you can introduce new concepts and you can do them in some really fun ways that'll make them stick with the kids for a lifetime with the tabula rasa thing.
Yeah.
And I know I encountered stuff for the first time that way.
Mhm. Do
So,
not ever be ashamed of mispronouncing words
No.
it means
if
you
you-
learned it by reading
if you
it.
learned it by reading.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are a lot of words to this day I still mispronounce.
So I have owned more than one, because I've lost them over the years, copy of a self-pronouncing dictionary or self-pronouncing encyclopedia.
Yeah.
They were a fairly common thing, and most of the ones that I've had have been like Victorian era, edging into early 20th century.
Yeah.
Before television and radio, they were a very common thing.
Yeah.
I can't always understand the symbols that they use
Yeah.
that are supposed to stand for different phonemes, but
Yeah, when
Yeah.
I-
Those need an explanation in and of
No
themselves.
kidding.
even with an explanation,
How do you
I'm
pronounce a
still-
schwa?
Yeah.
I know what it is. I damn sure don't know how to pronounce it. I miss. There used to be dictionaries for readers, and it had the word, and it had the pronunciation in pronounceable syllables.
I'll have to show you the one I have at home.
Yeah.
And then for some reason they went to this new alphabet that's supposed to make pronouncing things easier. I have no idea what the symbols stand for.
Yeah.
No, I know. It's like new math now. It's like somebody was being clever.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I know I know how to pronounce a thorn or an eth, eth, eth. I know how to pronounce that, but I don't know how to pronounce a schwa or a
An
upside down
umlaut.
e.
Well, it's just like the people that see the Dune poster that know scripting,
I haven't seen it. Now I gotta go look it up.
and it's superscript, subscript, you know,
Hmm.
with the shapes that they use for
Oh,
the Dune.
gotcha.
So anybody that knows the math and does any of that stuff is going to read it that way, just because that's the way their head works.
Oh, the really, really minimal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are actually symbols.
Mm-hmm. No, I've seen them. I couldn't tell you what they actually are, but I have seen them. Well, and as a graphic designer, that's one of the things that I'm constantly trying to watch out for when I'm doing clever fonts on a cover, because I want my fonts to have flavor and
Yeah.
texture and tell you things about the book.
Yeah.
But they also have to be readable.
Right.
And that's sometimes I'll do a design and step away from it for a couple of days and then come back to it.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I'll be like, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
But yeah. There's a couple of different versions of the poster out there, and it looks like they all have the same basic.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you've seen that one.
Yeah.
It's even
Dunk.
more pronounced if you're looking at it sideways.
Yeah.
So, again, with if you look at the award-winning cover artists from like the literary side of awards and stuff, and the art, most often whatever title is on there, if there's a title, is not readable.
Yeah.
It's all about the art. It tends to be very abstract. It's very postmodern.
Yep.
Because it's whatever the in thing is right now. It's not the most effective book cover, but it's the most artistic.
Accent on wrong syllable.
Yes.
Michael says, Heinlein explained acceleration math for
Yeah.
space travel in his juvenile books.
Yeah, no
Yes.
kidding.
Yeah.
Well, if you think about it, folks, if you're old enough, when you got a car, the manual taught you things. Today, if you get a manual with a car, if you get one, it basically says don't drink the battery acid.
So I got a manual with my vehicle because I bought it new
Yeah.
in October, and it is a brief overview.
Yeah.
And tells you, like every other chapter, that if you need to know more, you should go online to the website.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, how to tow, what the fluids were, how much fluid it took for things.
Yeah.
I
and
remember.
it basically assumes that you're not going to service anything
Yeah.
yourself.
I remember reading and I've been trying to find this book. It was a book, I think, set in Australia, but don't get me lying.
Yeah.
And it had in part of a chapter that these two brothers built a radio using a razor and a crystal.
Yeah.
And it's like, you could follow along and build. Those days you could walk into a parts store and get a radio crystal.
Mm-hmm.
Fry's or Radio Shack. Yeah.
I missed
Yeah,
the good
Ted.
radio shack.
How to adjust the valves. Yeah. Volkswagens used to have that. Because with a Volkswagen, if you don't adjust the valves, it will lock the engine up.
Nowadays, the equivalent to building the radio with the crystal might be instructions on what to do with Raspberry Pi to make something interesting.
Yeah.
Or an Arduino setup.
Or which app to purchase off the Google Play Store.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't think you understand. Arduino and Raspberry Pi, they're like Legos for building robots and
Yeah.
computer stuff.
Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you actually have to learn how to do proper connections and sometimes even soldering, depending on the kit and what
And
you're doing
programming.
with them. Definitely programming. And there is a whole community of people that makes weird little. I saw someone the other day that was sharing they're making this. You can get a little tiny e-ink screen.
Yeah.
I mean, it is tiny.
Okay.
And with a Raspberry Pi behind it, so the whole thing is like maybe the size of a deck of cards, and you can dock a little keyboard to that, and you can have a little tiny non-distraction writing setup.
Oh,
Yeah.
holy crap.
So stuff like that. And Ben Olson, the blade maker,
Mhm.
does the little fighting robots,
Yeah.
3D printed parts, and most of those are powered by Raspis
Yeah.
or Arduinos or some kind of bastardized version of both.
Yeah.
There's some really cool stuff out there that the kids are into these days.
Does
Oh, we
anybody
used to-
remember Heathkit?
That is exactly what these are.
That's what it sounds like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I bought several of them off Amazon for my son.
Yeah.
And then oh my god. So he's preteen when I first started doing this, and he doesn't quite get. He's excited about it, and we got him the little breadboard circuit board that he can do basic stuff and make LEDs light up. But I had little metal leader lines all over my house, and they don't play well with a vacuum cleaner.
No. Heathkit radios,
Yep.
yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Heathkit radios, stereos, televisions,
Heathkit built.
ham radios.
Well, essentially, the parts for all sorts of things.
Yeah.
I think we had a little kit that built a little solar powered robot
Yeah.
that would roll, and the body of it was a soda can.
Color
Yeah.
TV. Yeah.
Trying to remember.
Rick, actually, AM radio is not dead because AM radio is still the federal emergency broadcast system. So yes, all the vehicles are trying. All the vehicle manufacturers are trying to kill AM, but they can't because it's a federal requirement.
All I know is that my radio in my car turns on randomly.
Yeah.
Which drives me crazy.
Yeah, you also could build the test kits. Yeah, that assumes you built the test kits right. Ask me how I know that doesn't always work well.
Trying to remember, I recommended somebody buy a Flipper Zero for a Sprague. I'm trying to remember who that was.
A Flipper Zero?
Yeah, it lets you emulate RFD cards,
Yeah.
RFID cards.
Oh, okay. My point is that there is a ton of this kind of fun stuff out there, and it would be great if we see things like this written into the books.
Yeah.
I mean, with what Heinlein did with Have Spacesuit Will Travel,
Yeah.
Where Kit went in and basically had to rebuild the suit. There's got to be a clever author out there that can modernize that. Because when my son first read Have Spacesuit Will Travel, he bounced off the technology.
Yep.
It was antiquated to
Right.
him.
To him, yeah.
And then later he reread it again at about 16 and loved it.
Yeah.
Because he, at that point, he was also kind of interested in the history of technology.
Yeah.
He was trying to persuade me to buy him a working Commodore 64. Those things are expensive.
Yeah, they are.
And the dangerous book for boys stuff. Yes.
Yeah, something like that, but in the context of a story.
Speaking of dangerous books for boys,
Yeah.
if you do not want me teaching your Sprague how to rake a lock, don't leave them with me. Just gonna throw that out there. Don't have me watch your Sprague if you don't want him to learn how. If you don't want said Sprague to learn how to rake a lock.
That's easy.
I know.
It's just not something a parent usually teaches their child because honestly, there are
6-year-old
locks
Why
in
not?
the house.
6-year-old girls need to learn how to rake a lock.
There are locks in the house that I'd like to be able to pee in private for once in my life. Because as a mother,
That's
it took
your
years. I'd have a toddler hand under the bathroom door and a kitten paw next to it.
Add sugar and caffeine and see how fast they can
Well,
pick the lock.
Little,
Yes.
little girls have the sensitivity.
Dexterity.
I could probably have taught her how to single pin if Mama hadn't showed back up.
Yeah.
She had enough time for raking.
Well, yes, we are going to lead your children astray.
It's not a stray. We're just putting them on the right path.
Doug says, how about the granddaughter lockpick set? And she uses it.
See, it's giving them the tools for success.
And I'm here to tell you, if there's nothing for fidgeting, quite if you go to Imminent Threat Solutions or Sparrow Lockpicking, that you can get a cheap little practice set. And there's nothing for fidgeting like sit there and you're raking or combing or picking a lock. It's great for fidgeting. It really is.
Says the king of the fidgets.
I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. It's not just
Nancy,
lockpicking
I'm
all year.
sure Gordon can teach you how very quickly.
You got a set of picks you haven't learned already?
Yeah.
The hell, Nancy?
Are you that bored?
There's somebody else, and I forget who his name is. He does these little shorts. And Lockpicking Lawyer is great.
Yeah.
But this guy, I cannot remember his name, has a hate for Master Lock that,
Oh, God, yes. I know who you're talking
Oh, I
about.
think I've seen him.
yes, and his trademark delivery is, this is a Master Lock 605. You can open it with a Master Lock 605. Bang! And it opens.
Yeah.
Master Locks are crap.
Oh,
They're expensive crap, but they're crap. Great fidget spinners, yes.
I can't remember what his name is. I love the guy. He does really well, but what's good lock? There aren't any, Brian. Honestly, there's not.
the point of locking something is to
Keep honest people.
Keep
out.
on, yeah.
keep honest people honest. Yeah. Well, it's like when we had the whole conversation about whether or not I wanted to buy an actual gun safe versus a gun cabinet, and ultimately I looked at my Pure and Beam house and went, We'll go with the lighter version.
Yeah.
Because it's either that or I have to put it in the garage, and that's not secure.
And quite honestly, locks are not bad because the bad guys don't have the patience. It doesn't take long to learn how to pick or rake or
Yeah.
comb a lock. It doesn't take long, and the tools are easily available or easily made. But the bad guys still don't have the patience or the self discipline to learn how to do it. So they still kick in your
Or
door.
the shakes because they're coming down off of whatever drug they're trying to buy more of.
Yeah, or they've got tardive dyskinesia from long term drug use. But the I smile at Rita. One of these days, I've been trying to. One of these days, I'm going to teach her how to pick a lock, and then I want to hear that cute little swearing when she tries the front door and finds out how easy it is to pick the front door because I picked it twice. I picked it because I was bored one day.
I just got a text message from my husband. The demolition is done in my kitchen.
Yay.
So now we will not have a kitchen again until Tuesday when they come back and install the counters and the backsplashes and the sink. So
The
Well, we've wasted another hour of these people's time.
holy crap, we have. Now I'm trying to remember the name of that channel that's got the. This is a Mashlock 605. It'll be opened with another Mashlock 605. Whang!
you will remember it, write it down, and on
Yes.
Tuesday you can
Yeah.
tell the people. If somebody
Doesn't drive me
doesn't
nuts.
find it before that.
Yeah.
You're gonna drive me nuts. This is a Mashlock 605. You can open it with a monkey.
Oh,
The Mohs hardness scale says you cannot.
yeah.
Oh, I'm willing to try. I am willing to experiment as many times as required to make sure that can be done.
Folks, y'all have a good weekend.
Guys, it's just a monkey.
Remember, don't pet the sweaty stuff. Don't sweat the petty stuff. We'll see
Stay
you
away
later.
from monkeys.